I am excited for two reasons. One, I get the #1 opening spot, which means you're all awake. You've cleared your emails from your early, that come from your bosses early, and you're filled with caffeine, and you're all ready to go. So I'm very happy about that. Mostly I am excited because we're spending the whole day talking about customer experience. And I loved as you were going through all of the speakers, that's all I kept hearing, experience, experience, customer, customer. So yesterday we talked a lot about shopper and shopper marketing, brand marketing, and the differences between the two. Today is all about the customer and the experience that the customer has while they're shopping. And that's what I've spent my whole life doing. And thank you for the great background. That was really long. We got to make that shorter next time. But I started life as a psychologist because I was fascinated by human behavior. And somehow I moved into marketing research. Spent many years as a marketing researcher, done hundreds of focus groups, thousands of shop-alongs. I love talking to people. I love trying to understand why they do what they do. And then I moved into strategic planning. So for many years had that background of understanding the relationship between a brand and a consumer. Then I moved into shopper planning, because I was like, gosh, what's this shopper planning stuff? And then really focused in on the shopping behavior and why and how do people shop and what gets them to buy something, what gets them to choose one retailer over another. And then I shifted gears and became a retail strategist, which was kind of the same, but focusing on retailers and their customers and how their customers shop and how their customers decide which retailer they're going to use and how they move in and around the store and now in and around the ecosystem. And in that role, I was very fortunate to work and continue to work with our friends at Walmart, helping them to define and apply the principles of shopper marketing to a retailer, which is super interesting if you think about brand and a brand's moments of truth and comparing it to a retailer and a retailer moments of truth, which is some of what I'll talk about, and then working with them on defining what a best-in-class customer experience is. So as I said, I'm super excited that the day is all about these human beings that we're trying to engage with because, call me naive, but I fundamentally believe that if you put your attention and your focus on these human beings, whether they're a customer, a consumer, a shopper, really understanding where they're at in life, what they need, and what you can bring to them as a solution, you will reap the rewards and you will grow. And that's really important because we talked a little bit yesterday about zero-based budgeting. Growth is really important and it's really hard to find. We're supposed to go seamlessly through into my next slide because retail today is tough. I don't think retail was ever easy, but it's really tough today. And as I was building out this presentation, I must have had 20 statistics that I could have chosen. And I chose these because I think this is what we see all the time in our news feeds, in LinkedIn, you know, how many stores are closing, how many retailers have gone bankrupt, how sales are down. But if you think about it from a retailer's perspective, you know, they're grappling with, you know, I've got lots of stores and lots of space that I've got to fill and be productive. I've got to go online. I've got to, oh my God, what's going on with Kroger and Alibaba? What's going on with Target and Shipt? And there's Amazon, and now there's Amazon Go, and holy crap, you know, Kohl's is bringing in Aldi. Like, what do I do? This is what's in your retailer's head. So when you come in the door with your, you know, I got a plan for my brand in one aisle of the category, they've got a lot of other stuff going on in the back of their heads. But having said that, it's tough for CPG manufacturers too, right? So in 2017, 90 of the top 100 CPG manufacturers saw share declines. And we talked yesterday about some of the struggles that you guys are having and zero-based budgeting and a pressure on ROI. There's more brands than ever to choose from. Brands are all making lots of different variants. We got challenger brands. We've got private brands. How many of you have been on the Brandless website? So we have brands that aren't even brands anymore, which is really clever branding, especially for millennials. So, you know, you have a lot of pressure too, and we're all trying to find growth. So with that, I thought, you know, the world's changing rapidly. There's a lot of disruption. Technology's bringing a lot of change. I think we have one of the biggest generational transformations happening right now as we shift from boomers to millennials and Gen Z. Yet the way that we go about doing business, I don't think has really changed. The way that brands go about doing business with, I'm gonna put these down, sorry. The way that brands go about doing business with retailers hasn't really changed much in the last 40 odd years. And I love the conversation yesterday when we were talking about, well, when are we gonna make change? When is this change gonna happen? And somebody said, well, when we all get fed up with the way that we're doing things now. I'm kind of fed up with the way we're doing things now, so that's kind of what I'm going to talk to you about is some of the changes. Because we've been on the same road together for a while now. So let's talk a little bit about what that road is. Retail at its very heart, its basics is about getting these basics right? If you're going to open up a retail store, you want to open it up where there's not a lot of competition, right? I want to be where there's not a lot of other retailers. I want to get as many manufacturers or products in the door as humanly possible, and I want to get them to duke it out for the best spot, because that is going to see some benefits to retailer. And that's what offers customers what they want. And these are three words that you always hear all the time, right, from retailers: convenience, assortment, and price. Convenience, assortment, and price. When I shifted from consumer and brand planning into retailer planning and strategy, it was like convenience, assortment, price. That's what we got to do. Of course, I came from brand. I was like, what about engaging people? And it's like, no, convenience, assortment, price. And that worked really well, because retailer gets to collect their trade dollars, right? Selling in and selling through. And it's a win-win for brands too, because you're able to get your product and your goods in front of your consumers. So that's great until we start to get a lot of competition, right? And we've got a lot of competition now. I challenge any of you to go down into any one area. Again, I've done a lot of research for Walmart, and there'd be a Walmart right next to an Aldi, right next to a Kroger. I think they're all right there. There's a lot of competition. So how does retailer get its customers into its door when that competition is happening? Well, we've got coupons, we've got a game, we've got great offers, we have something that's unique and new. They need something to say to ensure that their customers are coming through their door. And therein was born, retailer media. And so they collect their media dollars. And I would argue it can be good for brands too, right? Because you're getting your brand in front of their customers, your shoppers, as they're getting ready to shop. So now we've got people in the door. And again, that's the words that you'll hear from retailer: drive a trip, win a trip. Can you help me win a trip? Can you help me drive a trip? Sure. Once you've got the trip then and people are in the door, then what are we going to do? Well, then we want to build baskets. So that's the next word. I want to win a trip, drive a trip, build a basket. Can you drive them across the store? Can you get them to go in the outside garden area when they've come in for fresh fruit and vegetables? Sure, we'll give it a try. And so now we know that there's a lot of occasions and events and needs that people are shopping for. So hey, let's bundle some things together. Let's talk to people about those while they're shopping to build those baskets. And then we collect marketing dollars, whether that's co-op dollars or whether that's shopper marketing dollars. So, and a lot of retailers about collecting these marketing dollars as well as it is actually pushing product through the door. So, what have we got for all those dollars? So this is how it's been working for 20, 30, 40 years, right? This is the game or the business model that we're playing. It was really hard to find the amount of money. So if anybody knows what it actually is, can you let me know? I had my friends at Kantar searching, reading lots of different reports. People called different budgets different things, but it looks like we all feel good about 50 billion. It's not less than 50 billion. So it's at least $50 billion a year is spent with all of this activity. So where has that got us? What decade would you say each of these pictures was taken in? I left in 1984. I actually lived in England for 20 years. That's where I became a strategic planner. So I left in 84 and I came back in 2007. And I came back and I remember making the first trip to the grocery store and I was like, I felt like, Back to the Future. I thought nothing has changed. This looks exactly the same. The aisles look exactly the same. All the brands look exactly the same. And I went to the mall and it looks exactly the same. I'm not sure you had a guess, but those are the answers in case you were wondering. Is this 1987 or 2017? You probably already know where I'm going, don't you? It's 2017, which, and I get it. You can't just, if you've got 1,000 stores, you just can't change them and redesign them all. That's like hugely, hugely expensive. But they really, really, really look exactly the same. As I said, we're making this huge generational shift from boomers to millennials. And this is not surprising that we're having some of the issues and some of the closures that we're seeing. So, do you think this is Kroger, Safeway, or Walmart? I don't even know. I didn't even put it up because I don't care, because it's the cereal aisle. And the cereal aisle looks the same, whatever store you're in. And it's understandable. I mean, on the one hand, you want to help people navigate, and it's helpful to be trained, right? So it doesn't matter what store I go into. There's the kids cereal, there's the granola cereals, there's the ones with berries in them. So I learn and I can kind of get trained. But what it means is that it actually doesn't matter to me which store I go into. Now, and you might not care as a brand because you just want them to buy your brand, but when you're talking to your retail partners, they care a lot. So what happens when it doesn't matter where I go? The only thing that will make me change my mind about where I go is who's got the best deal on. So, and I'm gonna use this example, and forgive me if there's anybody from Kellogg's, I don't mean to pick on you, but I buy Kellogg's cornflakes, frosted cornflakes for my daughter. And I know how much it costs. And our shoppers know how much this stuff costs. So in Safeway, when it's not on deal, it's $4.29. It comes on sometimes at CVS 2 for $4. I can get it in Walmart for, under $4, it's probably $3.29. I've learned this. So to me, when I see Kellogg's cereal at Safeway at $4.29, well, that's not how much Kellogg's cereal costs. Because it doesn't cost that. Because somewhere out there, it's on for probably $2.50. So I'm just going up and down the aisles on automatic pilot. Is it on deal? Is it not on deal? What am I doing? I'm not browsing. I'm literally on automatic pilot when you have the aisles look exactly the same like this, no matter where you go. And we seem to have taken this approach to online as well. And again, super important. Well, we're going to talk a little bit later about seamless versus sameness. Is you want your brand to be consistent. You want them to go on and see and feel your brand for what it is. But there is this is I could have 4, 5, 6 pages open and it doesn't feel any different or look any different, doesn't prompt me to do anything different than I'm normally doing. And then we've extended that out to these wonderful occasions that people have a lot of emotion for Christmas, for Easter, and we all know, right? Christmas is at the back. It's at the back wall. At the top of the wall will be all the stuff that you blow up. The trees are always to one side. Like there's just this formula. And so there's this, it breeds just habituative kind of shopping, which is not helpful because that doesn't get impulse buys. It doesn't get people really engaging and wanting to walk in and around. And then there's back to school. So those of you who know me, I just have a huge bear bug about back to school. It's rinse and repeat every year. And I swear on my life, I go into Target and I'm like, did you take that stuff from last year and just put it in the back and then pull out the same stuff this year? It looks the same, it's in the same place. Some years we focus on apples and lunch boxes and other years we focus on pencils, but it's really not very different. And seamless is great. And this is an example from my own experience, right? So I went to Target, I went to get some curtains. I went and looked at the curtains, didn't see anything I liked, went home, went online. Well, that's great. I can look at curtains. I can get them delivered to Target. If I don't like them, I can return them at Target. That seamlessness is really, really good. I would argue it would have been better not to have got me to leave the store because when I went home, I opened up Target, I opened up Macy's, I opened up JCPenney's, I opened up Kohl's, and now I got all 4 screens. And look what I found. Are you kidding me? I can't believe everything's brown and beige. So I'm opening everything up going, literally, I thought, gosh, my mom would like this. My mom is 87. This looks like my mom. So I'm trying to find the things, and then width, type, length, blackout, whatever, same thing. So I spent a good hour, and I actually still couldn't find what I wanted. And actually, what I really wanted was something to inspire me to change up the way that my bathroom looked. And I left not having bought anything, and I still haven't. So when I'm in the bathroom and the light's not right, I'm hanging a towel up in the window and I just actually can't be bothered to go through this hideous experience again. So what happens when you have too much sameness? Too much sameness leaves shoppers disengaged. I love this quote, where there is no difference, there is only indifference. It's kind of a meh, whatever. 32% of shoppers visit stores because they like the overall store experience. Only a third of people. They're just kind of not really caring. Most people, especially younger people, find shopping not particularly exciting or engaging. And that's bad, and shoppers are moving on. So right now, the average number of stores that any shopper visits for their groceries is 6. 6. It used to be 2. Because now I can buy my groceries at Safeway, I go into Trader Joe's, when I'm in CVS, I run down that aisle, because I'm telling you, they got cereal on 2 for $4 fairly regularly, like big brands for $1.99. I might run into a local shop. I'm picking up some groceries at 7-Eleven. I might go to Whole Foods occasionally. So we're shopping at a lot of different stores, and that's just for groceries. And this data really surprised me when I first saw it, because I thought, well, aren't we all busy and stressed, and we're all looking for convenience, and Walmart keeps telling me one-stop shopping, like that's what we want people to do. But the reality is the competition has grown. It's really easy to shop lots of places, right? So when I drop Rosie off, my daughter, for her dance classes, there's a Safeway across the street. When I take the dog for the dog bath, there's the Trader Joe's right next to it. There are so many stores now, it's really not that hard to run in and out. And why would I imagine, as we deal train people, I actually can't pay $4 for Kellogg's Corn Flakes because I know somewhere out there somebody's got it for $2.50. So it just doesn't feel good, and I never let myself really run out so that I can just run in and out, and I'm keeping an eye on things and making sure that I get the items on those good prices. So what we've trained people to do, of course, now is I shop at lots of places. Well, when we ask people why, well, because it's smart, and it makes me feel empowered, and especially lower income families, I gotta manage my budget, and that's part of the fun of it. I should walk over here a little bit. Should I walk over here a bit? I feel like Beyonce. Where was I at? If you have X amount of budget to spend, and I think can you remind me what's the average spend for groceries per week for a Walmart shopper? It's like $90, $100. You gotta be smart with that money. And so when you are smart and you shop at multiple places and you're getting great deals, you feel really good. It makes you feel smart, and it makes you feel really empowered. And people are now not going to change that behavior. They're kind of changing how they're shopping. And I think consumers and customers are moving on too. And I thought long and hard before I put the loyalty on a tombstone, because I knew some people wouldn't necessarily like that. But I've been reading about this for a few years now, this notion that loyalty is dead. And there's a great article, you probably can't see it there, but I'm happy to send it to you. It was a Forbes article, really nicely sums up kind of generationally what's happened with this concept of loyalty. Because if I look back at my parents, being loyal was a good thing, right? Being loyal and faithful towards your husband or your wife, your family, your community, your employer, your bank. It was a good thing to be loyal. But I think what we found over the years is, dare I say it, loyalty is kind of a sucker's game. If you stay at a job for a long time and you're really loyal, you'll find out the new people that are coming in are probably making a lot more money than you are. You'll find if you stay loyal to your bank that some bank down the road has got a great mortgage deal that you missed out on. And that's kind of what we've all learned over time, is that being loyal means that you can miss out on stuff. So it's not a value that younger people, for sure the younger millennials, hold dear. They hold dear the values of choice and control. And so having the ability to look at different things is a good thing, and it opens you up to new experiences. Staying with the same thing means that you don't grow and you don't change. So just fundamentally, the concept of loyalty has shifted. And I think it's important for us, especially when we talked about KPIs and what are we measuring. I don't think it's reasonable to expect that people are going to be slavishly loyal to your brand. And I wanted to show my words. Where did they go? Oh, that's okay. They're probably somewhere else. So with all that going on, I just want to finish this out before we move towards the future. Amazon's important because we're here to talk about experience, and retail's changing and brands are struggling to grow. And what I see is a lot of people talking about Amazon and wanting to go on to Amazon. And yes, that's important. Amazon's really important. It's going to be the first $1 trillion company for sure, but it can't be the only answer. And I'm sure all of you have seen the data about the batteries. I think 90% of batteries that are sold online are Amazon own label. And if you go onto Amazon and you hit the little battery, I want batteries, isn't it interesting to see what comes up? The 20-pack of Amazon batteries for $8 compared to the 40 battery for Duracell for $26. So, you're not even comparing like for like, so this is the algorithm that naturally comes up. If you're a brand on a shelf, if you're Kellogg's on a shelf, what your competitive set is maybe, it could be the whole aisle, but probably not. If I'm going for Kellogg's Corn Flakes, I'm probably not in the granola mindset at the moment. But there's only X amount of SKUs there that I compete with. When you are online, now I got granola bars, I got protein powder, I've got the whole set of anything that anybody cared to talk about, and it's a much harder environment to win. Doesn't mean that you don't have to be there, but it's not just the only answer. So my feeling is that retail, especially stores, still hold a lot of promise. And again, I had a lot of data and a lot of statistics, and I had to cherry pick the ones I wanted to talk about, and these are the 3 that I chose. You've got to remember to make words darker so that you can read them, but I'll read them out. 9 out of 10 of the top retailers actually did generate a sales growth in 2017. So, the big retailers and the Walmarts and the Targets, they're doing okay and they're growing. 70% of millennials and 77% of Gen Z prefer shopping in physical stores. They grew up with the phone, so it's just something that they have. And my daughter's, the other day I had somebody knock on the door, and I opened it up, and this 30-year-old guy stood there. I said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm looking for Rosie." She's 15, by the way. And so I'm like, "You are?" And you can see him looking at me like, "Yeah," and he's taking a step back, and then he holds up a bag and says, "Cheesecake Factory." And this is actually when she was 14. So I'm looking at the bag, and I'm still looking at him, trying to figure out what's going on. And he said, "Rosie ordered this." So he hands me the bag, and I'm taking the bag. I said, "Okay, do I owe you any money?" "Nope." And off he goes. So I go in her bedroom, and I said, what is this? And she said, "Oh, well, Megan and I wanted cheesecake. We used DoorDash and ordered it from Cheesecake Factory." So, so she's kind of used to this. But when I say, "Hey, Rosie, I'm going to Trader Joe's. Do you want to come?" Yes, I love going to Trader Joe's, and I love going to the tasting sampling in the back. She loves walking around the store, not so much Safeway, but she likes that environment. I think part of the reason, and it's one of my favorite words, is because it's very organoleptic. Which is, if you look that up, it means of the senses. In the store, you can smell, you can taste, you can touch, you can feel. The atmosphere makes you feel things. You can hear music. And I'm going to go on to talk a lot about what we learned in some of the research that we've done and how amazing some of those things, smell and music especially, elicits a response in people, gets them to be more relaxed. It completely changes their shopping behavior. And that's just a great experience. So the younger people are liking that if they get the right kind of experience. And yes, lots of stores are doing it. Sephora is a great example. Those examples that I put up there, bless them, Kohl's, I don't think that's the kind of experience that they're looking for, but they do like being in those physical experiences. And pure play retailers are opening up brick and mortar because they know that that's a smart place to be as well. So with that, if retail is important, I think winning retail today means a new goal. I think it means switching our mindset from loyalty to preference. And again, I think this is important because it's about shifting our mindset from expecting somebody to be loyal, we're going to do this thing, and they're only going to come to us. These words of obedience, adherence, and duty, which are just not where young people especially are today, to this notion of liking. Preference is about liking. It's about fondness. It's about a predisposition, right? I shop at Trader Joe's because I like it, and I like them, and I like being there. It's a great experience to be there, and I'm not there because I have to be there. I have to be in Safeway because they actually have a wider variety and selection and assortment, and I don't really like being there as much as Trader Joe's. So it's about choosing to want to be with you, and as a brand and as a retailer, that's what you need to be looking for your customers and your consumers and shoppers to do. And we know what it takes to drive preference. I want to talk to you about this is the work, that's emoticon, so it means emotions drive preference. We worked with Walmart, we've worked for about 2 years now, I think it is. We started off on a project with them to understand the role of emotions in shopping. And that led to bigger and better work and talking about emotional experiences. And that's what we have found is, and a lot of data, a lot of other people are doing a lot of these studies. I'm going to kind of talk to you about what we did, but it's very substantiated by other industry data. So I'm going to share some of that. And really what we learned is that we need a new formula for delivering growth. We need to move away from the old road that we've been on, which is convenience, assortment, and price. And if I give you a bunch of deals and a bunch of media and bundle a bunch of stuff together and stick it out over the calendar, you will be loyal to me. That's just not working anymore. And the new formula for growth is we really need to focus on emotions and the emotional experiences that people have on different trips, across different occasions, across their different needs, their real needs, not the kind of, mom's going back to school, she needs a bunch of pencils. Really, how many of your parents? I mean, back to school there's a lot going on. Again, trying to manage a lot of budget, dealing with what the school's trying to talk to me about, dealing with what retailers are trying to talk to me about. What are my real needs at that time? It's not just about getting pencils in the basket. So delivering those emotional experiences across these trips, occasions, and needs to build attachment. And that's what I want to talk to you about now, is this concept of attachment. And this is all very retailer focused. I'm going to get to the relevance to brands shortly. So customer attachment, what is that? It's when a customer, a retailer's customer, develops a meaningful relationship with a retailer that results in preference and positive word of mouth. And it's kind of not brain science, but I don't think retailers have thought this way. I think retailers think, it's like we're a big box. It's like we're a distribution center. We're getting brands coming in and out. But retailers are a brand too. And customer attachment is about delivering those emotional experiences so I develop a relationship with you. And this is really, really important because, and you can't read all those words, so I apologize, is customer attachment drives competitive advantage. So when you look at customers in the right column who are attached to a retailer and you compare them to customers who are not attached, bearing in mind, we all shop in places, as I said, I'm very attached to Trader Joe's. I'm not attached to Safeway very much, but I buy a lot of stuff at Safeway. I have to go into Safeway. They've lost disproportionately more and more and more of my business as other stores have opened up. You get tons of positive benefits. So when you are attached to a retailer, you shop there more often. You buy more there. You plan your trips there. You plan a trip. I plan my trips to Trader Joe's because I really like to go there, whereas Safeway is I just go whenever it is that I need to go and I run out of the things that Trader Joe's doesn't sell. You browse there because you're more relaxed. So when you're in there, you browse for longer. One of the things that we found that was really interesting is that you forgive mistakes and you will persevere through your trip. So I'll keep going on with the Trader Joe's, and I'm there, and there's a bunch of boxes in the way, and I can't find anything. I'm like, oh, isn't that great? They're stocking their shelves with great new stuff. When I'm in Safeway and there's a lot of boxes, I'm like, what, you can't pay your staff enough money to get the boxes out of my way? What are you doing? I go on. If anybody wants to connect to me on Facebook, I have regular postings about Safeway. Really? Moldy lettuce again in the bags. Are you guys ever going to get your together? I don't do that about Trader Joe's. I post more positive things. So you get a lot of benefit by driving this notion of attachment. It also drives satisfaction and advocacy. So we were looking at correlating it with, kind of more typical measures of satisfaction and net promoter score. Blown away. You can't make those numbers up. It's like, wow, this is really huge. So we spent a year learning about how attachment is formed. So I thought, okay, this is great. We feel really good about understanding that when you are attached, you get a lot of benefit from it. And again, this started with work with Matt Perry and his team, and I know Matt's going to be coming this afternoon, really understanding what happens in that shopping experience that makes some customers attached to you and doesn't make other customers attached to you. And after we did that work with Walmart, we wanted to see, well, how does that apply to other channels and other different customers and other different trip types? So we went and talked to 114 people, at 8 channels at 40 retailers. And I'm sure you're asking, why 114 and not just 100, Fern? We did 100, and then we had a summer intern, Grace, who joined us, and we were sharing the work with her. And she said, oh, how come you only talk to people 24 and older, or whatever it was, which was a great challenge to me. And it's because obviously they've got bigger baskets, just like families have bigger baskets because they've got kids. So I said, well, why don't you go replicate it? So we went with 14 young people from the ages of 17 to 21. Amazing. And you go back to the fact that they like shopping. I was genuinely touched almost with some of the findings that she shared about how they feel when they shop, how much they get in touch with their parents. Like, is this a good deal, Mom? Like, is this the thing? Should I be getting this thing? Or reaching out to their friends. They're forming their opinions about products and brands and different retailers. And they're looking to be embraced. And I have to tell you, they are not. Like, we are not doing a good job engaging these young people. So that's what we did. So let me tell you a little bit about what we learned. What we did is we mapped dozens of experiences across the many moments of truth at retail. So, brands have whichever theory you subscribe to. Is it 3, 4, 5 moments of truth, the 0 moment of truth, first moment of truth, et cetera? Retail's got like 20. There are so many, right from when you park in the car park. If you park in the car park and it's really hot and it's really busy, what do you think? Oh, crap, it's It's gonna be really busy in there, the lines are gonna be long, and you walk through that door in a different mindset than if you walked and you were cool and there's not a lot of cars, and you're like, ooh, the store's gonna be really nice today. It impacts how you shop and the size of your basket. From when you walk through the door, from when the first person greets you, to your trip to the bathroom, as you're approaching an aisle, as you're walking down an aisle. Like, there's all those moments of truth where the retailer can win or lose, that I think brands can be thinking about. How can you help them win across their moments of truth? How do you match your moments of truth to their moment of truth? So we mapped all of these different experiences as people hunt and approach the aisles and left checkouts. And we found in all of those experiences, they all rolled up to one of these three buckets, right? Efficiency, pleasure, and recognition. So what do those mean? Efficiency is, you helped me get done what I came in to do today. And so that's not just efficiency like, oh, the shelves are full. I came in to buy cereal today. It might have been, I came in today to get a birthday present for Rosie. That's why I came in here today. Did you help me get that done? Did you inspire me? Could I find the right aisles? Could I look around? And it's funny, actually, we were talking about Nielsen data yesterday. If I go into Target, because I want to find Rosie a birthday present, and I can't find anything, and I run over and pick up some milk and juice, we all count that as a fill-in, as an immediate need trip. That wasn't an immediate need trip. That was a birthday present finding trip. And they failed, and I happened to buy some milk or some orange juice. And I think, this notion of intent when I come in and then outcome of what I came out with, I don't think we're doing a very good job of capturing that. And I think Matt would be okay sharing, of all the people that walk in, I won't say the numbers, there's a very healthy number of people that walk out and they didn't get what they came in to get. And that's really bad for the retailer. So that is efficiency. And when you deliver efficiency, I feel relieved, I feel relaxed, I feel accomplished. That's part of that empower thing. I feel things when you do that for me. Pleasure, you made the shopping trip enjoyable. Because when I feel pleasure, like when you're walking and you're excited by something, and that might be a sale, but it also might be seeing something that you've never seen before. You feel excited, you feel surprised, you feel inspired, and that feels really good. And again, that will impact how you shop. And then recognition is super important. It shows me that you understand what I want and what I need, and that makes me feel valued, appreciated, warm, connected. So all of these experiences roll up into one of these three buckets. And the more consistently and frequently I feel those benefits when I shop at a retailer on every kind of trip, on my stock-up trip, on my immediate need trip, on my birthday present shopping trip, on my holiday shopping trip, every experience, these buckets are filling up and down, and over time, I develop a sense of attachment or not. Now, if the experience is negative, like the buckets are zero filled up every time, eventually I'm not gonna go back to the store unless I have to. And there are some people in rural communities that don't have any choice, and then they're angry because they don't have any choice. And those are the people that are gonna go online, my friends, because if they don't like that in-store experience, they will take their business somewhere else. So the more you do that over time, the greater the attachment builds, which is yay. So let me take you through a few examples. How am I doing on time? Good. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. I want to talk to you about why these emotional experiences matter. So I've just cherry-picked a few examples. So this is Shirley. And I think what's really important, and Alicia, I think we were talking about insights yesterday, and the Kimberly Clark team, amazing. Like I had little goosebumps. These people are human beings. This is Shirley. She's an empty nester. She's just got retired, and she's kind of a little lost. She doesn't really know what to do with her life, what her purpose is. So she's carrying a lot of emotional baggage around with her anyway. She's going to Kohl's. It was a week or two before Thanksgiving. She was going to buy some towels. Getting ready for the holidays to have fresh towels for guests coming. So let me tell you about her experience. Sorry, in lots of words, and I might have to read some of this. Her experience was that she came in, she's looking for the towels, and she heard the Christmas music. And it made her feel something, right? It took her back to her childhood, and she started getting excited. Her family's gonna come, she's gonna see them. So she went to see if the decorations were out. And then she went to the whole area where there was all of the decorations and all of the, the containers for your meals. And then that made her realize her family was coming. And then she was like, oh my God, she always gets the grandkids their little pajamas. So then she went over to the clothes area and she looked at the pajamas with the little footy things. She did lots of things. She felt warm, she felt nostalgic. That made her feel very relaxed. She felt inspired, and it made her want to buy, right? She's now in a mood of going, I want to start experiencing the holiday. And that's what she did. So she shopped across the store. You know, if you remember when we first talked, that's what the retailers want. Drive trips, win trips, drive them across the store, build the baskets, get me some extra stuff. She went across the store, she shopped 2 additional categories, and she bought on impulse. So we got some actual both shopping behavior and purchase behavior. And I think that's a big distinction when you look at the activations that you're trying to do in retail, is you're trying to influence their shopping behavior. Like you want them to approach your category. How do you pull them into your category when they're not actually stood at the category? How do you drive them around the category? And how do you push them into other categories? So I know you want them down, I know Kellogg's wants them to come down the cereal aisle, but if there's some way you could push them out to another category as well with your activations, retailer is gonna love you, obviously. And her attachment grew, especially in pleasure, right? I don't think we showed that we valued or recognized her as a human being, and we didn't necessarily make it efficient, but we really drove up that pleasure. And it reinforced to her, Kohl's is such a great place to shop for Christmas. So that was a great emotional experience, and she left kind of feeling really good about Kohl's, and now it's on her mind as well, right, as she's gonna come up to shop for the holiday. Another example, this is Tamika. So she's a full-time working, single mom, very full of energy, very bubbly, very positive attitude in life, wants to create great experiences for her kids. It was her son's birthday coming up. She was going to Walmart for a weekly stock-up trip and wanted to start to get her act together about what the party was gonna be. And went to the party aisle. And, you know, so what was her experience? Well, she gets to the party aisle, there was a whole lot of stuff, but she couldn't find exactly what she wanted for her son's age. I think he was interested in Spider-Man, and there was no Spider-Man. So, and I don't know how many of you have done shop-alongs. I would encourage you to do these. So she's kind of like, oh, crap. So, but she didn't want to leave, because she didn't want to leave without buying what she wanted to buy. So she's thinking, okay, maybe I could just do a color theme, like if I can just do blue and yellow, and maybe I'll get the Spider-Man napkin somewhere else. So she's walking up and down, desperately trying hard to spend her money with Walmart. And the place was pretty chaotic, wasn't super well structured, and she just really struggled to get the job done. So she felt frustrated, she felt irritated, and she was certainly very disappointed because she was like, now I have to go to Party City. Like, I hate Party City. It's always crowded, it's really big, but I'm not gonna have any choice. So what did she do? Again, what was her shopping behavior and her purchase behavior? She abandoned the category on the day. She's like, I'm done. She could have got napkins there. She could have got candles for the cake. She could have got a lot of stuff there. She left. Walmart lost the whole basket. So she's going to Party City. They lost all the party goods. They lost toys on that trip. They lost it all. And she, not because she consciously was like, I'm not gonna buy my toys here because she didn't have party stuff. She was just so deflated and disappointed that she kind of just left, which means now somebody else is open to maybe go get those purchases. And she discounted the category for future purchase. You know, and this was her outtake. Walmart's great, and she loves Walmart. It's got low prices, it fits her lifestyle, like she loves Walmart, but it isn't great for everything. So I'm obviously not gonna be able to get this kind of job done here. Bummer, right? And in terms of attachment, she still feels like Walmart's a place that understands who she is through all their great low prices. Still get some pleasure shopping there, but that efficiency bucket really dropped. I came in here to get a job done, and it wasn't just I came here with an item on my list that I could tick off. I had a job to get done. I want to make a great birthday party for my son, and that means having great stuff to put up, and you didn't help me create that great experience for him. Super disappointing. And then my last example is Anne. I loved Anne. She's in Kansas City, 28. She had 3 kids under the age of 5, I think, or 6. A very gentle soul. Faith, family, very important to her, trying very hard to be a good mom and really struggling. Struggling to keep her kids under control, yelling at them and then feeling bad like she's a bad mom. With all of our research, we spent like a month or 2 months with these people. We were in their homes, they had our texts, they texted us, they texted pictures, so we really got to know each other, which was super valuable, and some of them I will still stay in touch with. Anyway, and this is her experience going to Trader Joe's that she loves, and so it was not really a weekly stock-up trip because she uses Walmart, but it was definitely a a fill-in trip. So what happened to her on that experience? She had her kids with her, and it was a nightmare. They were running around. She was not controlling them. When you have that sweat, that's partly because they're out of control and partly because you're embarrassed because your kids are out of control and you think everybody is staring at you. So, she struggled through the trip. She's trying to get the stuff done. And then as she goes to the exit, somebody came running after her, one of the store staff, and they handed her a bouquet of flowers. And they said, "You're doing a great job, Mom." And she cried when she told me the story. And I feel it now. Like, it meant so much to her. She was completely overwhelmed. So she felt emotions. She feels warm. She feels appreciated, valued, surprised, all of these great things. Now, did it change her behavior on that day? No. Did she buy any more that day? No, she didn't, because she was leaving the store. But it reinforces that it's her first choice, that she plans trips there, that she will persevere to find things and forgive mistakes, like we talked about. And she told everybody about this experience. So attachment, huge up on that trip. So imagine you have 5 trips like that, and then you have one trip where they're out of stock, or something feels a bit expensive, or a cashier was rude to you. You just ignore it. Doesn't matter, because that's not your general experience. And no, Trader Joe's for Anne doesn't have everything, but it is her first choice because she genuinely feels that they care about her. So what's happening is we're all shopping lots of different places, and our attachment buckets are filling up and down. These 3 things are filling up and down as we're making our assessments and developing those emotional relationships with retailers, which is how we defined customer attachment. And today, customers want experiences. So there's lots of surveys. This was the one that I picked. 81% of people said they want customer experiences, and they're actually willing to pay for them. And 44% are actually willing to pay a premium for those experiences. And the return is worth the spend. So, we've done our work. I've shared a lot of this work with some of our other clients, like at Lowe's and at Hallmark, because we're all trying to understand what's best-in-class customer experience and the role of emotions. There are lots of people doing lots of studies showing the return on the investment. So this were 2 of my favorites, one from Bain & Company. Companies that excel at customer experience are growing by 4 to 8%, and retailers are too. Those that are very focused on customer experience are seeing positive returns. Really. And this is a great Harvard Business Review study on the science of customer emotions, I think is what it's called, showing the value for customers that are attached versus those that are not attached. So it's worth us focusing on. And the field's wide open, because this is really amazing and slightly embarrassing, right? So 80% of companies say, yeah, I think we offer really kick-ass customer experience, but only 8% of their customers would say the same thing. So there's obviously a gap in how we are all defining what customer service and customer experience is, probably based on assortment, price, convenience, right? Getting you in the door and then building up your baskets versus what they're actually really wanting. So at this point, I'm sure you're all going, okay, this is great, Fern, but what has this got to do with brands, right? Like, I'm a brand and I'm trying to get some stuff done at retail. So I think it has a lot to do with brands, because for me, brands are built on emotions. Great quote: to create valuable, sustainable customer relationships, great brands do not sell customers on functional benefits, right? They seduce them with impactful, memorable, emotional connections. Like, brands are the ones that have that emotional baggage or that territory with them. Like I said, I think retailers are, a lot of good retailers, and especially some of the newer retailers, I do think of themselves as a brand. I don't think all retailers are getting to grips with what that means. So what do you see when you feel these brands? And you might not feel anything. I picked these brands because these are some of my favorites. You feel something when you see this brand. When I see Cliff Bar, I feel wholesome and natural. I feel good. I feel wholesome. When I feel Dove, I feel very empowered. And when I see Nike, I feel very capable. I feel feelings when I see these brands. And emotion is the magic ingredient that sells brands. And again, this is a Harvard Business Review study, which I think is super important, because on a lifetime value basis, emotionally connected customers are worth twice as much as the customers who are not. And then they list all of the behaviors that you would expect to see from an emotionally connected customer. They buy you more often, they spend more time with you, all of the things that an attached customer does with a retailer. So really, you're doing the same thing. You're trying to emotionally engage so that you can disproportionately win against the competition. But for me, brands I mean, the great role for brands is that you can bring a lot of those emotions into the store. Brands with emotional purpose win. So Jim Stengel, when he was at P&G, they did a lot of studies, and they looked at their brands that had an emotional connection with their customers compared to the brands that did not, and the brands that did, again, won disproportionately over their competitors. So my feeling is, wouldn't it be great if we could bring some of this, some of the feelings of these brands, and notice I tried really hard not to find a campaign picture, because this is not about bringing our brand campaigns down into retail, it's about bringing our brands and the feeling and the emotions and the purpose of our brands to some of the retail environment. Because when I'm stood at the soap aisle, I'm not feeling any of that feeling when I'm there. It's big, it's a mess, it's super hard to navigate, it's very hard to find what I want to find. Nike, very similar. I can't remember if this is Nike and Kohl's or Sears. I love that they have the swish. So I come in and I feel really good, and then everything's in a red box. Everything looks the same. Nike is supposed to, the feeling I have when I see Nike is its power and I feel capable. That is not the shopping experience. The shopping experience is frustrating. It's hard to navigate. I can't find the different types of shoes that I want. It doesn't reflect at all the brand, and the brand can bring that into the store. And that would be a real win-win, right, for retailer and for brand, if we could start to do some of that and do it a little bit better. So for me, it's time to consider traveling some new roads, some new ways about going to business and to market with retailers. And I'm not saying that nobody's doing these things now, but I just wanted to highlight what I think that is and what that means. So what if we shifted from thinking co-marketing and started thinking co-created experiences? I think that's really important, because I think the marketing bucket lends itself to, it's back to school, what bundle are we going to put together? Not what experience does mom want and need to have at back to school, and how can we be different in this retail environment versus another retail environment? How can our brand help bring that to life? What if we shifted from delivering seamless experiences that are differentiated experiences? As I said, seamless is important. I want to run through a retailer's ecosystem and have that feel natural. I do not believe that people want same experiences. So, when I shop Nike in a store, I want it to be easy to find. And yes, I want to be inspired by the range and the cool colors that I see. When I go online, I expect to be able to design my own shoe. I'm not expecting the experience to be the same. It should be differentiated. And a lot of brands like that do that really well. But I think a lot of CPG food brands are still struggling to figure out what that looks like. And what if we stopped treating retail as a distribution center and started thinking of it as an experience center? And what if brands could shift from bringing their products to retail and instead bringing their emotions and their purpose to the categories that they are in? And again, I think many of us are trying to do that in many ways, and I think it's going to really, and I'll kind of talk about that in a minute, I think it's about having a conversation between brands and retail, because if retailer doesn't want you to do it, you're not going to be able to do it. So road number one, I think that might be a start, trying to think about, well, this is all great, Fern, so what are you telling me I ought to do, is maybe to start looking in. We've all got brand pyramids, or hopefully we do. Like, which part of your brand's purpose do you think you can bring to a retailer that would help them engage their shoppers and trips and create great customer experiences? I think in our brand pyramid, most people focus on the functional benefits. I have 10 times more grains than you. I'm 3 times more powerful. I used to head the insight team at Leapfrog, and we would always want to say, 9 out of 10 educators choose Leapfrog. It's like, okay, that's why I'm going to choose Leapfrog over VTech, which is fine, but it's back to that very functional positioning. And also then we would say that at Walmart and at Toys R Us and at Kohl's, and we would say that everywhere, so it wasn't very differentiated. Maybe we could start to look at our essence, our brand values, some of our reasons to believe, and our purpose, and think, how can I bring that to retail? And this was just an example that I started to think about. I went onto the Hallmark website. Hallmark's a client of ours, and I've been talking to them, about the role of emotions in shopping. And this is an image that pops up at the website. And I think that sums up the feeling of what Hallmark stands for, is about human connections and relationships and communicating something to somebody. So what if they could bring that purpose that they have and help retailers say thank you to their customers, right? Because that's what Hallmark's about. Thank you, Mom, for being a great mom. Thank you for whatever, or have a great birthday. And invite them to say thank you to the people in the lives that they love. And I remember I met the head of research at Meijer, and he said on the days that they hand out excuse me, warm cookies, sales go up 4%. Because people walk in, they got a warm cookie, and they feel relaxed. And when you feel relaxed, you shop longer. Absolute proof fact. So Hallmark could be at the front of the stores. I don't know, partner with Dove Chocolates, hand out a little heart, tell your mom that you love her, we love you, thank you for the thing. Have your little coupons, drive them back to the whatever category it is, you know, if it's Mother's Day, to go buy Mother's Day gifts. You know, that would be super emotive. It would be a wonderful shopping experience. You might be able to drive people across categories. I think one of the tough things that I want to talk about after that is, like, how do you measure the ROI on that, right? Like, because Hallmark could benefit. That might just remind me how wonderful Hallmark is, and if you did that in Walmart, I might go buy a Hallmark card in Walgreens. Like, Walmart might benefit because you're driving them to a category. Hallmark might benefit by gaining a purchase somewhere else. So we've definitely, I think the whole, how we're measuring and tracking the outcomes of our programs and ideas are going to be really important. Because when you do that, those buckets are filling up. They're filling up for the retailer and they're filling up for the brand when we do things like that. And then this was an example I just saw, Lacoste, which they didn't play out at retail, which I thought was interesting. You know, their mission is sharing their vision of casual elegance and our optimism and faith in the future. So I don't know if you all saw this, but they did a limited edition run on their shirts. They took off the crocodile and they put on the top, you're nodding your head, was it 10, 11, I can't remember, something like that, endangered species, which just was like, made me feel so many feelings, and I'm like, oh, too bad you didn't take, you know, species 1 and put it in Walmart and species 2 and put it somewhere else. Like could have got some real benefit, taken something out to retail, again, that would have been emotional. Could have partnered with, I don't know, soft, cuddly toys that are of the same animal, and created something really unique and emotional in store. But that was an example of looking at your brand and looking at its purpose and seeing how you can bring it to life to bring a great shopping experience to a retailer. So that's one, you could look in. 2, look out, which I think a lot of us are doing anyway, right? Like, look out to your customers, your shoppers, your consumers. Really look, excuse me. I love the Kimberly Clark presentation yesterday. They really looked into who these people are as human beings. This is my sister, and she's really struggling, trying to figure out how to look after our mother. And speaking to her and really touching her in a shopping experience is super, super compelling. So what positive emotions would make a difference while people are in the store? When I'm walking down the cereal aisle and I'm bored, I'm on autopilot, like what emotions are they feeling? What emotions could they feel that would make it a better shopping experience? What negative emotions are they feeling that we could maybe address and improve and make better? Maybe we could turn the cereal aisle into a place to get the job done, because that's all it is. I'm going there, I just gotta get the job done, find the cereal, put it in the basket. I'm sorry, these are a little small. And make it more of a breakfast center, right? And again, these are big wish dreams. You know, somebody said to me, for every, oh gosh, what did they say? For every square foot you change in a retail environment multiplied by 1,000 stores is $1 million. I can't remember, but it was like, wow, this is a lot of money to make these big changes. But I think the idea that it's not the cereal aisle and it becomes a breakfast center, it's a place where I go and I get ideas for breakfast, and it means mixing different things together than we have in the past. But that would be super, super inspiring, and take it from a place where I'm just there to get the job done and do other things. Same thing with paint, which I think is interesting, right? Right now, it's a very frustrating place to hunt. Can't we turn it into a more creative space to explore? You know, and we were talking to Lowe's about, wouldn't it be great if you just had like a play wall at the back where people could just paint on the wall and actually put colors up and get their samples instead of taking them. And sometimes you want to take them home, you want to put them on your wall to see them in your light, where you could talk and engage with people and make that a real positive experience. And I think, again, Sephora has just done a phenomenal job at really understanding its customers. And I was in there the other day. You know, they talk a lot about how people are uncomfortable, young people as well, which you may not think that they are, in trying to find out what colors are right for me, what should I be buying. And they have so many things in place to help people do that in comfort and with confidence, and that's why it's such a great experience. And lastly, look around. So what brands can you partner with, not because of product functionality or because you match, because you make a neat recipe together for Christmas time or whatever it is, but because your purpose matches, because the emotional benefits that you can both bring together would match. So I was looking at these brands. what do they got in common, right? It's cheese, chocolate, and Hispanic foods, right? Well, they actually have a lot in common if you look at their purpose, right? Kraft wants to grow a better world. Hershey's has a great passion for goodness. Ortega wants to have great shared moments with families and friends. Like there's something interesting in that combination. Like we could take that combination instead of focusing on a night, an event, an occasion. We can talk, oh, sorry, I went too fast. We can talk about, right, sharing. Happiness is sharing good food, good meals, when you all put your hands in together, the fondues, the guacamoles, the taco nights, maybe we can have a weekend of sharing, or the sharing month, or whatever that is. And then it makes sense that your brands are together. So it's, again, not just product functionality, but emotional purpose. And I thought this was a nice example, and I saw Walmart doing it the other day. ShopRite was offering the free fruit for kids. It's not, it doesn't look like it's funded to me, but I thought what a great opportunity that could have been for Chiquita and Dole or Del Monte, right, to have co-sponsored that for their passion for feeding great foods, great kids. Everybody would have benefited from that emotional experience in the store. So with all of that, what's the roadmap? So what do we do next? I think one of the things that you could do is critique your current shopper activations, right? Really immerse yourself in your shopper and ask these questions. How are our current activations helping to build attachment to us or to the retailers that we are activating in? Are they helping shoppers get the job done? Are they building up their pleasure? Are they recognizing who they are as human beings? All of that, I feel valued, I feel warm, I feel appreciated. You could just critique what you've currently got, see if there's some tweaks or some changes that can be made to bring more of that emotion into play. You could ask your shoppers the same questions. So, and somebody talked about that yesterday. Your companies do a lot of research all the time. Like, just get in some extra questions on how your activations are emotionally resonating with people, or what emotions that they attach to your brands that you think might make a difference when they're shopping. Audit what your competitors are doing to emotionally engage their shoppers. I think we're all supposed to do that, but again, the session with Olga, it sounds like you're all busy filling in a lot of spreadsheets, but what are your competitors actually doing? Get out in the stores and shop and look what they're doing. Look what they're doing in other adjacent aisles as well. And don't forget to check if you're seamless with sameness or you're seamless with uniqueness. I think that's another good exercise, is just to pause and look at what you're doing, and asking if you're serving up the relevant products and messages in different environments so that they're getting the same brand experience, but they're getting a different shopping experience. So that's the first thing I think you could do. Second, seek retailers who are interested in partnering to deliver these better emotional experiences. The conversation is just starting to happen. I mean, we're certainly happening. I'm going to the Retailer Academy, part of the Path to Purchase, next week, and I'm meeting 12 different retailers who are all interested in talking about this, Albertsons, several different retailers. So I think now is the time to open up those conversations. Think transformational versus transactional, right? Bring new thinking to top conversations. Ask for test and learns. A lot of retailers are looking to try to partner and to do new things. And again, that's a great thing to do in a top-to-top, and engage them early. Again, the Kimberly Clark example, and we're doing something with Albertsons now. Hey, we want to do this great thing. Do you want to talk about it? Like, come into the brainstorm sessions? Yeah, that would be awesome. So really proper joint, I'm not even calling it a JBP because it's not as formalized as that. It's just, rolling up your sleeves, having the conversation, and figuring out how to get the work done. So that's 2, and then 2 more, and I'll be done. Measure the emotional experience and longer-term impacts along the way. I have a lot of passion for this, I think because I came from brand as well. And I've managed brand trackers, and in Shopper, it's like, what was the sales lift? Great, but you got a brand lift maybe that day, right? Maybe I walked in and saw you, but I didn't, it's the end of the month and my paycheck's not that big. Maybe I'm gonna buy you next month, but I will have felt something, hopefully, from what I saw. So why aren't we also measuring brand equity? How would you, if you did the Hallmark activation, how do you look at what the benefit is that you get over time from the thing that you did? So capture sales lift as a base measurement for sure, but how can we measure brand equity lift for you and the retailer? How can you measure attachment scores, efficiency, pleasure, and recognition? And can you capture influence on other shopping behavior? And that's a $90 million question, right? Because we did this and they felt relaxed, like the Meijer example, well, on that day, sales went up 4%. That's an amazing thing. Now, if it doesn't go up for your brand, that's not so hot. So, obviously you want it to do both, but you also want the retailer to buy in your program. So if you can show that your ideas are doing other things, making people feel relaxed, driving them across the store, making them feel more emotionally engaged with that retailer so they'll plan future trips. Those are all good things to have. And lastly, apply the concept of attachment to building partnerships. And this is about widening and deepening your partnerships. So like I said, what other brands are partners besides the one that go in the ingredient in the dish or that are all on the breakfast table at the same time? And those are, I'm not saying that those are not important, by the way. Those are super important because that's about efficiency. Like, why wouldn't I get my, my graham crackers and my marshmallows and my candy all together when I see them like that? That's very, very convenient. But this is about additional things. Who can we partner with? And that may be other brand manufacturers, but it could be just other partners, whether it's charities or other organizations that share your purpose. What positive emotions do people actually feel today about your brand or your category, and how can you elevate those? Right? So we know that this is how they feel about this. How can we elevate them and make them even better and bring some of those to our retail partners? And then more importantly, what negative emotions do people feel when shopping? Remember, only 32% of people actually feel good about the shopping experience that they have. So there is a lot of room for you to be able to look at your category, understand what's happening and what are the negative feelings that people are having there, and how can you try to resolve that either through yourself or through joint programs with other suppliers. So for me, it's time to evolve the 4 Ps that we have: product, price, promotion, and place. And I can't take credit for this. This is another Harvard Business Review. It's not really about product, it's about solutions. And I think we kind of, talked a lot about that yesterday. It shouldn't be about price, it should be about value. People are willing to pay more for great experiences. They are willing to pay more for brands that give them the emotional benefits and things that they're looking for in life. We should shift from it being about promotion to being about education. Yes, I need to promote myself, but why do you want to buy me? I need to educate you as to the benefit of buying me at this certain retailer over another. And it shouldn't be about place, it should be about availability, right? And that goes back to the seamless conversation. And for me, I would like to then add 2 new Ps, which is purpose and preference, because that is where that role of emotions will come into play and make a big impact. How did I do? I think I went under an hour. I'm at an hour. Okay, thank you. Should you questions? Any questions? Oh, yeah, there's one over here.
Wait, let me get to you.
Don't make it hard now. I haven't had my caffeine.
So when you're looking at those 3 buckets that you identified,
Yep.
Is there any one that you feel is more important than the others, or do they all play equally within the experience that the shopper feels?
It's a great question, and it will be different by category, for sure. So, and we tried to map out exactly what they were, so we have some ideas, but yeah, it's very different by category and by retailer type, sorry.
I understood from your presentation just how important it is to get to know your shopper deeply and those shop-alongs and the research you did, which is so valuable. If you aren't at the point of doing a major research project on that, how do you get started with sort of casual shop-alongs and not making it awkward to ask somebody that you kind of know, hey, can I go shopping with you? Do you have any tips on getting started?
Well, first of all, so I mean, I'm out all the time, and I regularly ask people. I just butt in and say, "Oh, you bought that thing? Why did you buy that thing?" Or so. I mean, I think it's just about having the confidence to speak to people. I love it when brand shopper marketers and retailers come shopping like with me. I think that's really important that you all get out there. So I would have you. Should I say this? Yeah, of course I should. I would go to one of your agency partners or a research agency partner and have them give you maybe a little bit of training. And then you can go out and do it yourself. And it's not that expensive to recruit people. Some of you will have databases of people that you can find to recruit. But having some general guidance on how you approach it. But people will, we're about to do some with our, one of our clients. Retailer, and they're like, oh, we don't want to come because we don't want to influence people. And I'm like, you won't. People like to talk to you. They like to tell you about the experience. And even if they know that you're with their company. They won't shy back in telling the truth. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I would say get out there and do it. Do it informally without somebody recruited. But there's a lot of value in spending the money to recruit somebody. It's about 120 bucks. Oh no, because you have to recruit and incentivize. Maybe it's $250. So you could recruit 10 people for a couple of $1,000s. They're going to give you their time. And I would recommend you talk to them before you go shopping to learn about who they are. Like understanding who Shirley and Ann and Tamika are as human beings, it's a huge window when you then go shopping with them to see what they're thinking. So yeah, do it. It's great. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you brought up the Kimberly Clark presentation from yesterday.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the difference? Can you elaborate a little bit more on the difference on how you think about attachment for shoppers versus consumers?
Yeah, well, it was funny because as the Kimberly Clark folks were going through it, I was like, yes, look what you did. You looked at what their emotions were. Yes, they had some shopping challenges, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to buy. Oh my God, you gave them samples to help open up their minds to other things that they could do. You got all the brownie points as a brand, bringing me these solutions, and I feel so positive to you. But now I feel really positive that Sam's is actually bringing me some of those solutions as well. So it literally works. I think some of the attachment for shopping is about as I'm having the shopping experience, I feel warm and relaxed and valued and recognized. I think when you're buying a brand, there's some different values there, so for some brands it might be status, or you make me feel like I'm a more powerful person that don't apply to retail. So I mean, some of the criteria will be different. So in principle, the notion of being emotionally attached is true. I think the criteria of what builds that attachment's different. So what we talked about today was about building attachment in a retail environment towards the retailer. But as I said, I think my view is that brands have all that emotion to be able to bring into the space. Does that answer the question?